In this video, we're going to address what a lot of you are seeing in the media right now, which is a settlement that was just announced by the National Association of Realtors to a lawsuit that challenged the way the real estate commissions have traditionally been paid. So to begin with, let's look a little bit at this NAR lawsuit and the settlement. The lawsuit challenges the way that real estate commissions have traditionally been paid. The seller would agree with their listing agent and their brokerage that they were going to give some of that total commission amount to the brokerage that brings a buyer to the transaction. What this settlement says is that sellers no longer are required to offer a cooperative compensation. The question then becomes, where does that compensation come from? Well, if it doesn't come from the seller, it will come from the buyer. We're going to address that. One of the things that this settlement also says is that for us to know where the compensation comes from is yet to be determined. Even if a seller now determines that they do want to offer that compensation, part of this settlement says they can't put an MLS where we can see it. I also must have with you, my client, a written buyer's agreement about the services I'm offering you and what I'm charging you for those services. So in the state of Tennessee, we were already required to have a buyer's representation agreement if we legally were representing you in your best interest. Now, this is an area that I actually do not have a problem with. I think there should be a representation agreement with everyone. And I personally believe that there should be a detailed list of some of the services that buyer's reps offer. So let's just talk about buyer representation. Everyone needs buyer representation. In those thousands of transactions that I've seen come across my desk, I've seen so many times where buyers represented themselves thinking that they had saved so much money and came out so well. Only behind the scenes, we knew that if it had a good buyer's agent, they would have done so much better for themselves. They would have saved themselves not just purchase price money, not just better terms, but also a lot of stress in the process. First, let's look at whose side everybody's on. So the biggest myth I hear is that from a buyer's, I'm going to go to the listing agent and I'm going to save myself some money because of not having them to have to pay a buyer commission. Well, traditionally, that's not how commissions have worked, okay? So that's a myth. Secondly, the absolute worst thing you could do as a buyer, worse than having a bad buyer's rep, is to go straight to the listing agent. Here's why. They're not on your side. They represent the seller, just like when you list your home. They have a legal obligation. Their job is to get as much money for the sale of that home with the absolute best terms that the seller desires. As I said earlier, make sure that you look for a quality buyer rep because you're not looking for someone just to fill out the paperwork. You're looking for someone who has some skills in the following areas. So let's look at some of those areas. The first area I want to look at is, are you out of state? If you're someone who's relocating to an area, you need to be looking at a completely different type of buyer representation. We do a tremendous amount of work here getting to know you. Not about 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet. That's the last thing we care about is the bricks and sticks. We need to get to know you. We need to understand what's important to you so that we can first determine does Knoxville fit for you or not fit for you and help you make that decision. Second, buyer representation, market expertise, right? You need a buyer's agent who's in homes all the time. This is what they do. They don't need to be doing this part-time. If they're a part-time agent, you don't need part-time representation. Trust me, you need full-time representation. They're seeing the trends in the market. They know where the market's headed. That's market expertise. It's not just can they go in the MLS and pull out some comps. You want to look for a buyer who understands you if you're moving in from out of state and the uniqueness of that process. Secondly, you need to find a buyer rep who has great market expertise in the market you're looking at. Thirdly, a good buyer rep is also there to keep the stress level down some. Buying a home can be stressful, but what we want to do is keep that stress down to a minimum, keep it as low as we possibly can. Yes, they know how to fill out the paperwork. Yes, they know how to structure that paperwork in a way that should protect you as much as possible. But it's the explaining of the process and making sure you understand what's going on every step of the way and what to expect next that, in my opinion, is a really big piece of a quality buyer rep and why you need one in any transaction. One of the other things a really good buyer representative can do is help you with vendors, whether it be helping connect you with people who do blinds in the home. If you want to replace the carpet, they have local relationships. They understand home inspections. They understand home inspectors. The last thing that I want to bring up is this. Having a good buyer rep should give you a good objective person to bounce things off of and as a co-buyer for you. Buying a home is a big deal, and you need someone to lock arms with, to see it from your perspective, to give you good, honest, professional, objective advice and guide you through the process. I hope you found this video informative. I know it wasn't the most exciting video that you're going to get to see, but I do hope you found it informative, because I did want to address this important headline in the news today. And until next time, guys, I absolutely can't wait to see you around Knoxville soon.